to them. And there's many ideas now around online research communities, which is a new part of the Australian research profession that is growing. It's been alive and well for a decade in North America and probably for at least 5 or 6 years in the UK, and that is about creating smaller communities of people that you talk to very frequently. So you don't talk to everyone once every 6 months about something. You create and attract 400 people into a community which they join, which is secure, and they can talk with you and the brand and the company and each other about things that they do. So for instance, Suncorp as a bank now over the last 6 months have a research community, and most of the things that the corridor discussions about, what do you think about this? What are our customers going to say about that? Instead of having to write a research brief and for it to take 7 or 8 weeks to get the answers, they can go to their community, which contains people that are customers and also non-customers, and get responses within 2 or 3 days, just to give them a sense of what they're doing as a business. And that's really about collaboration, and Obama is the king of it, and it's legendary, his campaign moving away from the telephone and moving into social media. And I think he clearly saw the change that was happening, and all his advisors, and kind of moved his communication and his communication style and methods in the right way. And it's not only about kind of closer customer connection, it's also there's great business upside here. So Dell, legendary in the US, launched an Idea Storm, created thousands and thousands, or 11,000 ideas very quickly from their customers. But the other thing they were able to do is provide online support, and they got their community to actually provide the support, they realised. So people, instead of ringing a help desk, they put their question into the community, and other Dell customers solved their problems for them. And allegedly it saved them $1 million a year in costs, and the CEO was happy. But this is, again, just more and more ideas about getting your friends to help you as a business. Starbucks collecting thousands and thousands of ideas. And the interesting thing here was that Starbucks believed that they got just as much value or success out of collecting ideas as they did looking and listening about how customers spoke to each other in a pure qualitative sense. And that's, again, not about a company trying to direct the conversation or having a discussion guide which specifically says this is what I want to get through. This is about just watching what people talk about and really listening, taking out of that and acting on it. IKEA, free support, another company that's had a big upside in this space. I guess IKEA is always seen as an innovative company all around the world. But I guess my challenge now is that I don't really want it to be the Dell and Starbucks and IKEAs to be having all these upsides. I want Australian companies. I want the brands and the companies that are here, either as part of a global network or surviving here in Australia, to get on board and actually at least consider looking at different forms of research as part of your research offer. P&G out of the US have been very, very vocal over the years about getting more ideas from the outside, using communities to connect, increasing efficiencies in R&D, and again, shifting from having all the ideas from internally driven to having a majority of ideas externally driven. And it came from their CEO, Lafley, when he took over in the US. Unfortunately, P&G have just bombed in the GFC and Lafley's gone, but he worked for a while, I guess, getting a sense of getting brands and customers to kind of improve and contribute. So often the question we're asked now is that why are people going to collaborate? We're all busy. Why do people want to come and give us 15 minutes or half an hour of your time once a week? Or why do people want to participate and talk about the Australian Tax Office and compliance issues more than once a year if they're forced to? Well, I guess in research, and not only communities, research communities, but in normal research, we need to actually make sure that where there is a bigger payback, more than the $50 that you get in an envelope, or $60 or $70, or however much you need to pay people these days. We need to give people much more reasons to collaborate with us. And we're finding now that if we give people an opportunity to connect with similar people like them, that they might think about their brands in a similar way, that's an upside that people see as valuable. If we give people an opportunity to get a bit of education about a brand or something that's coming up before anyone else, we're seeing that as a big opportunity and people want to engage. So in the property sector, if a group of investors might want to be part of a community and come back every couple of days, just in case they pick up a little bit of bit of information about a new development or a new company that's going to do something. So we give them a reason to be educated. And it doesn't have to be all serious, and you can see, hopefully you'll see now research and questionnaires and things being much more interactive to try and entertain people as well as extract information in the nicest possible way. And we need to make sure that they are learning, people are learning and getting things from research and making sure they've seen it as useful. So there's a whole movement happening and there's a whole group of discussion, not fast enough maybe, but starting to change where we really need to think about collaboration with customers instead of using them as respondents or trying to get just what we want. And the final part of Vanilla Ice is about listening. Does anyone know what Vanilla Ice's real name is? There's a T-shirt in it for you. Yeah, T-shirt for you. Well done, Robert Van Winkle. I owe you a T-shirt. I've got one here. And I'll be completely transparent with you today, is that I only got these facts off Google this morning at about 7:30. So but he was all about listening, and certainly a lot of people listen to him. So why do we want to listen? Listen as marketing, which is the new mantra. Certainly it's not new. If you had have asked university, I was told to listen and intently. But I guess what it is now about is making sure we actually really listen in context. And the art of listening, the science of listening is about actually you can't effectively listen if you're already thinking about what you're going to say back to people. So as researchers and as people interested in listening, we need to go in with complete open minds and not have preconceived ideas about people and not have preconceived questions about, no, that guy's not talking the right thing about my product. We don't charge $4.99, it's actually $4.89. We need to take all that stuff away and really listen to try and get a bit of a breakthrough, uncover new issues and really understand how people feel. So back to why a little bit about the old days is brands want everyone to pay attention, and the legends of advertising, David Ogilvy and those guys, they demanded, they were rock stars because they were the most effective in demanding attention and getting cut through. And I think we're all clear now about that those days of advertising is Mad Men, and that's kind of like we watch it now as a kind of way of reflecting and laughing about those days. And it's different now. So the rock stars now of advertising potentially are people like Larry and Sergey that started Google. Gee, that's a great model, isn't it? What are they doing and how much money are they making and how effective are they as marketers right now? So the whole, we need to actually pay attention to everyone else. And again, research communities and market research really can play a much stronger role than it currently is in effective listening. That, after all, is what many researchers are actually trained in doing. Certainly good qualitative researchers, the background is in really effective listening skills. And I'd argue that as a profession, market research needs to have a much stronger role in marketing because we're the experts in listening and the experts in interpretation and pulling out what is actually going to really work. And P&G, again, I only picked them because they've been for the last 30 years the largest spender of money in the US. So they were voted the best marketer for the 20th century, and they now want to be, they got that via spending the most, I guess. And in the 21st century, maybe because they're in tough times, but they're going to spend less, but they want to be the best listeners and still get the same result. And I think that's a really interesting way of thinking about budgets. And as listening tools, they're all out there right now, and I've just put a few of the different standard ways of doing it. Alert systems, tell us every time our brand's mentioned. Build us a dashboard,